Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this Level Up session that we host here at the European Cityverses Uniting for Inclusiveness. We have people entering the room, but we will start anyway. Little briefly, just a small intro, and today we're going to have a super exciting session. So let's kick off. Let's go for the next slide. Trying on once more. And there we go. It's regarding what we do and our long, beautiful project name. European is our where that we signify that we operate on a European basis. Cityverse is what we are developing, the new digital layer of urban life. Uniting is how we work. We are working with creating a human-centric solution. And inclusiveness is our why we are doing this, and we are creating then an accessibility standard across Europe. We also have our project objectives. And that's the next slide. My clicker doesn't work. There we go. I hope everyone knows all of them by now, but I'll take them as a quick rehearsal once again. We have 4 different objectives in our project. The first one is inclusive digital twin city design. The second one is AI-enhanced technical development and service integration. The fourth one is the strategic communication for project replication and outreach. And then the fourth one is to develop a sustainable and scalable model across Europe. Should I click, or is it, maybe I can click. Here we go. Here, once more. Wanted the apricot one. Here we go. Okay, so about this level up session. So these sessions are then designed for our project community to share knowledge and ensure that we are still relevant, and we work with the frameworks of the Commission and also keep ourselves updated on the technical landscape, and also then contributing, of course, to our project objectives. Now, today's session, close into that one, is LDT Toolbox. Now, I wanted the next slide again, but it doesn't work. There we go. So, as you know, we started this project level up sessions back in April, and we have had different topics. They are available on our website and our documentation area teams. There you can see all of them. Today's session is about exploring the European LDT, Local Digital Twin Toolbox, and the relevance, building sort of the blocks and contribution. We also will continue with this on a monthly basis during 2026, and these dates will be distributed by me. So count on a mass emails on a lot of meeting invites from me quite surely in your inbox. And we have the January session decided, and we will be super excited, but that's more to come, and a cliffhanger for now. Now I want the next slide. Should I should. I'm talking here behind the scenes as well. Okay, so today's session, we have invited 2 speakers. It's Dr. Antonio J. Jara, who's the project coordinator of Libelium and the coordinator also of the European LDT Toolbox initiative. He's also a project management colleague of mine, who, since he also has one of the other Cityverse projects, Sense. But today we're focusing on the LDT Toolbox. And then we have also, as a second speaker, we have Claus Popp Larsen from RISE. He has the assignment here during the autumn to map the LDT Toolbox and the relevance for our project, how we can contribute from a project perspective, and sort of what we can review, what we maybe can reuse as well. So this is what we will hear about. These sessions, as are always, as recorded, and you are welcome to ask any questions in the Zoom chat while we are during this session live. Now, Antonia, I wanted to invite you in here if you can unmute and put the video on. I think it's time for your session. Let's start with that one and see if we can have Antonio in image.
Excellent. Thank you so much for the opportunity to introduce today the local digital twin toolbox. So here I would like to introduce you what is the kind of tools and assets that you will have available since January, and also the opportunity you have to adopt the local digital twin toolbox in order to not only to integrate the visualization as CU Project is doing, also to integrate different algorithms and simulation capabilities and data sets. So next slide. So you can see this is a project, next slide, led by Nuncis and Libelium together with several European partners. And the most important is that, as I mentioned, this is totally open source. So next slide. Next slide, please.
Antonio?
Yes.
Yeah, there was an animation in this presentation that I kept it, so I have like 20 seconds per slide. So here we go. Here's the next one. So just so you know, so it's 20. I don't.
But you can go. You can. Okay, but you can go next if no problem.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. And if you want to put on the video, that will be good as well. Just so you know that you haven't put on the video, so we see your Christmas show.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you. So yeah, so the toolbox is bringing to you for every city is enabling these capabilities, as I mentioned, in terms of interoperable standard tools. So they are really interoperable tools based on the minimal interoperable mechanism. Everything will be provided as open source. That is also extremely important. And the last point is that everything will be offered for integrating with different European projects and initiatives like the Cityverse ones. So what we are looking for here is to create this marketplace and this opportunity to valorize existing algorithms, existing data sets, and support the decision-making for all the Green Deal and all the urban innovation planning. For that purpose, we are, in order to take advantage of the existing resources, please go back. No, next slide, please. Next slide. Next slide. Yeah, this one. So for that, we are trying to guarantee that we can promote participation, we can promote reusability, and you can deliver and integrate this service as part of your current urban planning strategy. And next slide. And you can find, for example, to make it practical to use, from the very beginning, you have already six algorithms in 5 domain areas like mobility planning, where we have an algorithm for urban planning based on Sumo, energy optimization, where you have automatical creation of labeling for energy efficiency, urban health related to identification of poor poverty areas and identification of health impact, urban planning also with the aspect of a full European Union building database that will be released as open source with all the information of all the buildings of Europe. And finally, also air quality, pollution propagation as part of the sustainability. So all these areas are covered. In total, we have a first European building database that indeed this is a first. With the data space connectivity and destination edge and other initiatives, you have much more databases and data sets available. 11 interoperable tools based in the minimal interoperable mechanism, and an initial set of 6 algorithms that, of course, the other Cityverse project and the other initiatives being funded by Missions, Call, and the LDT for SSC will also bring much more data sets and much more models and much more tools. So that is also very important to remember that we have open calls to creating more databases, more tools, and more models. So next slide, please. So here is the first asset. As I mentioned, it's a European building database where you have all the information of all the buildings in Europe. I think this is tremendously relevant because you can understand the height, the use of the building, the status, also the energy energy information and the material. So it's one of the first amazing assets that will be enabled and provided to guarantee that a lot of algorithms, a lot of assessment can be developed on top of that. For example, one of the initial tools and initial use cases is the reconstruction of Ukraine as an example of where they are calculating for the different aspects. Beyond this reconstruction algorithm, you have the other algorithms, as I mentioned, pollution propagation, renovation strategies, urban mobility, energy efficiency, CO2 equivalent emission, and mobility planning with urban aspects related to vulnerability mitigation, identification of vulnerability patterns. So there is different algorithms. These 6 are also available as open source and open for testing and piloting. So next slide, please. So here you can see how really work these 11 tools interconnected. So you go from your city to your improved city, integrating from different data sources. You have a data platform that you will see later on in some screenshots, and you can connect data from your current data spaces with the data space ready. You have also fireware connector. You have also a data model to integrate into a smart data model any existing data source. Then you can go to the AI notebook to deploy and run your algorithms. Then you can play with this algorithm in different use cases and scenarios. And finally, with the TTverse project, you can integrate your visualization in the play and visualize to visualize in mapping, in dashboards. And of course, because this must be participatory, you have on the one hand the marketplace, and on the other hand, you have also the capacity to ask for citizens and to make innovation planning. So the local digital twin is bringing this capacity of data-driven future and collaboration. And here you can see some screenshots about how really is the data platform, the AI notebook. So you can see, for example, here you will see now in the next slide, how the data platform looks like. It's based on Data Hub. So here you have the opportunity in the Data Hub to integrate any kind of data source. So you can integrate multiple data sources, and then they are mapped into the smart data models. So you can integrate your current Postgres, SQL, NoSQL, S3 storage for object storage, your existing fireware platform or any other existing platform. Also integrate data spaces with the data space ready. You can make aggregated queries using Trino as an aggregator of smart queries that can facilitate a lot the integration of the different tools into your existing and integrating also external and additional data. So next slide. You can see in the next slide the same for every entity, how it's mapping to the smart data models. You can see here also the capacity with the AI notebook to deploy algorithms. So it's an AI notebook based on in Kubeflow, so you can deploy both for sandboxes infrastructure to test. You can integrate different algorithms. We are supporting the 6 algorithms I told you, but we are also supporting a lot of existing algorithms from other projects and also from other repositories like Hugging Face. So the idea is that you can integrate and play with any algorithms as you need for your solution. So the AI notebook is based on Kubeflow, as I mentioned. It's also compatible with Jupyter. So can guarantee that you can work in any existing algorithms you are already working on. So next slide. You can see that for every algorithm you can deploy, run it, make an instance, and configure. And of course, for the configuration of the algorithm, you can use the use case and a scenario that is the one that allows you to configure the different parameters for the different scenarios. Right now, we are running with the different use cases for low emission zone, for mobility, for vulnerability, in order to run and enable this capacity to simulate and to estimate. As I mentioned, for the Cityverse project, the opportunity is to integrate algorithms, data sets, and also new ways to visualize and interact with the data, especially with CU is very important because the accessibility aspect is something that right now is not being considered into the proposal beyond the baseline, so it's very relevant. And as I mentioned, the notebook allow you to interface and interconnect existing RStudio or Jupyter or existing Python-based places of development of algorithms, so can guarantee really that you can continue working with your current tools and at the same time integrating the algorithms into the ecosystem of the interoperability of the AI notebook. And as I mentioned, also the opportunity to integrate it into the local data twin marketplace, because it's a way to valorize, replicate, and to guarantee that you can get also economical sustainability for your outcomes. So next slide. Is that, for example, a practical example is the optimization of energy and renovation for a specific municipality to guarantee that you are fitting this into a specific budget. So that is a real use case, a practical use case where you can see how the local data toolbox can be used and valorized. So next slide, you can see the mapping of all the tools. So please, next slide. Yeah, so here you can see how is the flow of the tools from the data integration to the algorithms integration to the deployment of the different use cases scenarios. So here you can imagine for any of the use cases you have in mind, you can make the same. So here the practical is that you have the first tool called that is the integrated environment. The integrated environment is like Windows, where you have everything, every tool accessible in a single click. Then you can start integrating with the data modeler, the different building database, or to make sure that you have all your data into the data platform. And as soon as you have all your data in the data platform, you can then run your algorithms into the AI notebook for the smart renewable strategy algorithm, and then of course play with the different use cases and scenario. In particular, here we can see how we are getting this strategy and algorithm from the cost guideline, municipal budget, building characterization from the European building database. We can play with these Renova algorithms that is called renovation strategies. That is one of the open source and release algorithms. With genetic algorithm and with the MIL algorithm, we can get this estimation about what is the maximum impact, cost efficiency, and make a trade-off between cost and improvement on energy efficiency. So I think this is very, very relevant and very practical in terms of optimization and a typical Green Deal investment project for guaranteeing some deployment. So here the tools being used are the ones mentioned here from the integrated environment, that is the common hub of tools, to the data platform for the data integration. The data space connector can be also used for the European building database, the AI notebook for deploying the algorithm, the use case necessary to define the different algorithms, and then play and visualize to visualize in OpenStreetMap the different mapping, and of course everything with the identity manager to guarantee the security hub and to guarantee the right access control and the right security on the deployment of the tools, integration, and the access control to the solution. So here we go for tool by tool. We can go next slide. So just to let you know, we are, as I mentioned, releasing the tools in January 2026. That is, and the MVP will be in we're already launched, and so that and then we did the demo in the smart cities of last November. So we are starting now new launch of the tools in June 2026. But I really invite you to start checking now the local data tool for smart and sustainable cities. That is the new opportunity for open calls, also to integrate as early adopter Cityverse project into these initiatives, and to guarantee that you can start already making understanding of the local data twin into your real pilots and ecosystem, to guarantee you can start integrating it into your current solution. So at the end of the day, we are ambitioning not to replace any existing platform or not to replace any existing digital twin in the city. We are just being a passport to open your algorithms, your data, your needs into the other cities, to guarantee you can replicate, you can adopt existing solutions. So it's much more a framework of cooperation, a framework of interoperability, a framework of accessing different algorithms, models that can be a lot of opportunities. So that is real ambition of using the local digital twin. And for that, we can guarantee that you also promoting with the use of the local digital twin, you can access to infrastructure, like the European Digital Infrastructure Consortium, these kind of projects I told you, the LDT for SEC, the guarantee that you can also offer and integrate this. But of course, to be able to use it, you need to guarantee that you can host and operate the tools We are offering the tools as open source. You can deploy in a Kubernetes cluster. Of course, an instance as a service will be also available via the EDIC. Of course, you need to also have some kind of specification of experience in technological integration and development to guarantee you can use it. The benefits for you will be this European sovereignty, the capacity to guarantee that you can access and reuse existing algorithm data, reduce time to operation thanks to the European Digital Infrastructure Consortium for Local Digital Twin and Cityverse, where all the resources from the local digital twin and the European projects for Cityverse, where CU is included, will be valorized. And of course, to guarantee that you can valorize, replicate, and extend. So we are not, no existing digital twin are required. You need to have a minimal infrastructure to deploy the toolbox. And we will provide you with the different algorithms, data sets, and of course you need to have some technical, policy, administrative support in your city to guarantee that this can be adopted and exploited, and of course can be integrated and valorized into the solution. The pilot team and the execution is now open. Is now the first cities are adopting it. Of course, there is also the opportunity for the Cityverse project to adopt it, and as I mentioned, the local digital team for SCC call that will also enable different funding. And of course, yes, you have there the QR code to access more information. As I mentioned, next month in January will be released all the open source code, much more examples and tutorial. But if you need, as a Cityverse project, we can provide, as we are already doing, some information in advance. Okay. So thank you.
Thank you, Antonio. That was great. And thanks for taking your time in the car to stop by and to do this presentation for us. It's very, very, very valuable for us to know what we are contributing to, and also, you know, where you are heading in the European perspective. So thanks for sharing, and thanks for. And I hope you're still with us, because we have some questions in the end, but you are allowed to drive now for at least 10-15 minutes or so, if there's a chance of that. Now we will go for the next speaker. This is Claus Popp Larsen from RISE. Are you with us there? I see you. Perfect. Claus, welcome. You are supposed to share your presentation yourself and click the slides as well.
Yes.
Yeah. So while Claus is doing that, it's coming back to a bit of introduction for Claus, then, who has been digging deep in this LDT toolbox also from the project perspective, then, and to really map what and how it's relevant for us and many more. So I leave the word to you, Claus. Here you go.
Yes, thank you so much. And okay, so I will also talk about the LDT toolbox, but from a slightly different perspective compared to Antonio, and also try to see how is this relevant to the CU project. And so as Anna said, RISE had a task here to make sense in what is actually the toolbox, because it has been hard to understand what is it, how can we use it, and so on. And it's my colleagues who have done the biggest job here, not me. So to understand the LDT toolbox, we need to understand a little bit more about the LDT Cityverse ethic. And Antonio mentioned that one. And it's defined in different ways. And this is one of the ways that the European Commission, they talk about the LDT Cityverse ethic, that it's a next level digital space where citizens, communities, and city officials can interact in a whole new way. Okay, so there's so LDT, it's the same local digital twin, but here in the Cityverse context. And the Cityverse, it's a new construction. And I need to take it briefly here. It's a construction and a new funding instrument as well, where member states, they have to participate. So Sweden has to become a member if we need to be able to use all the resources here. And what they will fill the Cityverse edict with is results of many of the projects that are already ongoing within the Digital Europe program, within smart cities and communities. And you see CU is up there on the top. So it's one of the projects that will contribute to this. And you see the EU LDT Toolbox to the far left is also one of them, and it's one of the key inputs to the Cityverse. Now, so as I said, Sweden is not yet a member. We really hope it'll happen soon, and Anna and I are working on it together with others. So hopefully, Sweden will become member, so we can actually access all the resources here in the EDIC Cityverse, including the toolbox. And this is also from a description of the EDIC, that you have the data space projects within the smart communities. Antonio mentioned them briefly. Local digital twin toolbox. This is the one, and so on. And you see the Cityverse projects is mentioned here as well. And I've just had some arrows here where you can see within CU we also participate in some of the groups working with interoperability for the Cityverse, and it's the one to the left, the furthest down. And what we will contribute with to is this common repository of tools and services, and the LDT Toolbox is an important part of that. So this is where CU could contribute, and eventually to this interoperable marketplace where we could have applications that are interoperable, so they can work at multiple cities at the same time if they follow the same rules or the same frameworks or structures. So this was short about the Cityverse EDIC. So, but what's in the LDT Toolbox really? Well, this is, if you start digging, there are different descriptions of how to understand the LDT Toolbox. And what Antonio described here was the second one with technical tools and software. But there will also be like best practice examples. There will also be training and capacity building resources. You will have to show your success stories so others can be inspired and know what to use in this toolbox. So it's more than just the technical tools, and it's like you could say it's all the building blocks that you need to build your smart city. It won't be all of them, but quite a few. And as Antonio said as well, it's the intention is that everyone should be able to use them. And this one is the specific technical tools. You already saw these, so I will jump them. But I will just stay with this one. You have seen this one again. These are the different applications that will be addressed, or that already are addressed in the toolbox. And it's for example, if you want to do something about mobility planning, there's a tool for that, and a visualization part, and the simulation part as well. And that means that if you have the mobility data within your city, you can apply these different tools, build them together, and you will have some kind of mobility planning application. And the idea is, again, that it should be easy to use. You can do it yourself if you have the competence, at least. It's open source, so there's no vendor login here, unless, of course, you hire a company to do it. There will be a risk of login. And there are other applications as well. So it's like some of these obvious applications that you could imagine, oh, we would like to have these in our city. And this is how the toolbox could be understood, that it's a Swiss Army knife with a lot of tools. It may initially be very useful for those that cannot do this themselves, of course. If we look at Gothenburg, for example, many of these tools they already mastered. Maybe not exactly the same or the identical same tools as in the toolbox, but the functions they will master. But it's not enough that Gothenburg can master these. This needs to come out to everyone. So, but what's also in it, what should be good for Gothenburg in the future, for example, is that these applications, they will be useful and they will be co-developed by more cities or by more access, so they can be shared, be improved together. The mindset about the toolbox is that it will be released in June, hopefully. And it has been a long process and several years, but we actually don't know yet how will this work. Will all the components be good? Probably not. If something is not working, then remove it, replace it with something else. If something is good, improve it when necessary, and we can add more tools. So that means that there will be like hundreds, maybe thousands, maybe more of tools in this Swiss Army knife. But it will only work if we actually are going to use it, if we do it and we continue to improve it together. So the thought behind is very good, but it only works if we actually use it and we do it together, right? What can we do in the CU project? And that was really the initial question that we got here. And one thing is that we could test the components and give feedback to see, are they working? How should they be improved, and so on. We can also add new components to the toolbox, and there may be something within the CU project that we can add. It's a little bit too early to say yet because it hasn't been released in full. We only know the names and the functions and so on, but we haven't been able to test them. We can also look at will there be any like unclarities or contradictions from a CU perspective? Is something missing? For example, what could that be? Is something illogical? And all the feedback that we can give to the commission would be received well about this. We can also add like new methodologies or new principles that are not present in the toolbox. And for example, my colleagues, they identified the need of working with the knowledge graphs for scenario development and simulations. And this is something that we will give as a feedback. So again, it's not yet released, so it's too early to exactly know how useful it is and what components to relate to. And if a CU partner will test the components, we need to somehow fit it into to be aligned with the scope of the project, so it brings the project further, I believe. And I would just one last thing I would just say is that. Antonio mentioned that there's a call for digital twin pilots out now, and it's something that the Swedish organizations can apply for as well, but you need to have 50% co-financing in cash. And it's a little bit of a problem, but it may be solved because there's actually money allocated for this kind of co-financing in the budget for next year, but we don't know yet whether we will be able to get it. So my advice is that don't apply for the first round of projects because we may not know what the conditions are, but there will be another 2 rounds of calls for digital twin pilots. But I think honestly that you should carefully consider whether you want to apply for the first one if you have been already contacted here. So this will end my presentation. Thank you.
Yes, so thank you so very much, Claus. I think it's like hard to really understand all this about the LDT toolbox, and I think it's important within the CU project that we continue to talk about these questions all the time. So eventually we will understand and we will be able to make use of this. So any questions from the audience, Lotta? No questions? Okay, so I have one question for Antonio, if you are able to answer wherever you are. Are you with us still?
Yes, I am with you. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I have a question for you. So for us in the audience, we are now going to start using testing and delivering data and components to this local digital twin toolbox. So what is your most important piece of advice for us to get quickly started and maximize our contribution and our benefit from the toolbox? What is your
So
advice?
my main suggestion is to follow the minimal interoperable mechanisms, like to guarantee that your data is using the Min2 for smart data model, that you have integrated using the APIs like the Min1, the NGSI, and of course follow up the Min8 for Cityverse. That is very relevant for the visualization, and where you should add also a chapter about accessibility from CU. So based on the memes, we'll guarantee the interoperability, because at the end of the day, as mentioned, it's a framework of interoperability. So for me, the main suggestion is to consider that. And secondly, I think that the main assets for you is data should go with the data platform, where Min1 and Min2 will be the relevant ones, and Min3 for the ones that are going through data spaces. The AI algorithms is also very relevant, where also the Min5 will be relevant, but at the end of the day, the smart data models and the APIs are the relevant part, because in the AI models, there is much more flexibility. And the last one is the Min8, as I mentioned, for the visualization, where you can really bring a lot of value with OpenUSD and the other algorithms you are working and the other standards. So yeah, for me, is follow memes as the main interoperability mechanism, and that will guarantee that you will be easy to interoperate with the other tools and with the full ecosystem. And will be easy to enable into the marketplace to make it available for others.
So we start with understanding the memes, and then we go into the local digital twin toolbox, and then further on to the Cityverse EDIC, I suppose. So any questions from the audience, Lotta? No? So I have another question. Looking ahead, so what is the nearest strategic focus area for the development of the local digital twin toolbox?
So right now there are 6 cities that will be selected from the toolbox itself, and in addition to the Cityverse cities. So in your case, being a Cityverse project, you have already the access as an early adopter since this in January. And of course, as I mentioned, will be piloted by the Commission 6 cities as part of the toolbox itself, and also the open call for local digital twin for smart sustainable cities. So I really highly recommend to synchronize with the local digital twin for smart sustainable communities, open calls and webinars, because that will be the main instrument to valorize the toolbox together with the EDIT, with the European Digital Infrastructure Consortium. Okay?
Yeah. Yes. So I lost this. It was a little bit problem with the sound for me. So if you could possibly try to answer the question again.
Yeah, I think you can go for the local digital twin for smart sustainable cities and communities webinars and follow up, and also for the EDIC, the European Digital Infrastructure Consortium. These are the 2 main programs that I highly recommend you to follow up, to include additional cities and additional assets in addition to the Cityverse project itself.
Yes. So okay, so thank you very much. We have some problem with the sound, so I want to check with Lotta. Any questions? No? Okay then. So I think I would like to close things up. Any questions for Claus? No? No one? So thank you so much for today's presentation. I think this is a very interesting topic, and we are going to follow this, of course. Okay, but before we go on working with the memes and the Cityverse EDICs and the LDT Toolbox, we want to just say
from all of us
to all of you, Have a very nice Christmas holidays and
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, and see you in 2026.
Yes.
Happy New Year. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you.